Before I get started, I just want to do like a quick group exercise. So quick show of hands, how many of you feel like insurance is the most sexy product out there? So, all right, okay, there's a couple, that's nice. I take it you're from the insurance industry as well. So, as mentioned, my name is Peter, I'm from Tryg Insurance. It's a Danish company. Tryg in Danish means safe, so that's a nice pun, at least for an insurance company. I'll just quickly run through all these show-off slides that we tend to use. So Tryg is primarily centered in the Nordics, as you can see, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Our biggest position is in Denmark, and we offer insurances basically across a wide variety of products. So consumer, industrial insurances, basically anything you can think of, we probably have an insurance for it somewhere. We just actually merged with another Danish insurance company called Alka Insurance. So the market share isn't quite up to date. I think we're going to land around 24% in Denmark, so that's very exciting. And I want to give you a bit of history. So when Tryg was founded, it's actually one of the oldest insurance companies in the Nordics. Back in 1728, and I won't go through all the years, but this is just a quick overview. There was a huge fire in Copenhagen, which actually burned down a large percent of Copenhagen. And back then, insurance wasn't really something that was invented yet. And that's actually why Tryg started. So a couple of years later, society got together and started thinking about, so if this happens again, what should we do? We should have some sort of insurance, and that's actually how Tryg started. I think it's quite a funny story. So then what happened up through the years, as you can see in 1880, the Norwegian insurance company Vestas was established. Tryg has subsequently bought Vestas, but now is part of the family. And then we move up through the years. So as you can see, nothing really happened from 1880 to 2005. We acquired the Swedish version of the Swedish branch of Tryg, called Moderna. There was another company in Sweden already called Tryg Vesta, so we couldn't buy that one. Or we couldn't use the name at least. So it's called Moderna in Sweden. So that's a bit of Tryg history. So that's what we do. So what I want to talk to you guys about, or at least present, is basically I want to present some of the challenges that we face in Tryg regarding everything, basically what we've heard up until now. And I think it's quite funny. I think Brian, who had the first presentation, it seems like all the studies he showed us could be done in Tryg, basically. He mentioned that I think 85% of companies for the last decade has tried to do omnichannel and implement omnichannel, and they've ended up with a fragmented sort of multi-channel instead. And I think that's just a really good description of where we are right now at Tryg. And I will try to take you through our history and then hopefully present you what we're going to do about it, because I think that's the interesting part. So up until now, so we started sort of back in the early thousands and doing more in terms of search online, quotes online, basically trying to do more online. That was when the whole internet was happening, so we were there as well. From 15 to 17, we made a real effort actually to try to get more people to buy their insurances online, which I'm not sure how it works outside of Denmark and the Nordics, but traditionally insurances is something you need to trust. You place a lot of trust in whoever you buy insurances from. So going online and buying insurance, for some customers at least, presented a huge challenge, because was it safe? Could they really trust that this is actually a good product? So we tried to do something about that image and try to change that. So we made it easier to buy online. You could file your claims online, and we actually moved our digital share of customers to around 80%. So to build on that, for the last couple of years, we've been working on straight-through processing, automation, robotics, which we've also heard about, and of course self-service. So where we want to end up in 2020 is basically we want to have 50% straight-through processing on claims What that means is that there is not a human involved in these claims. If you have a small claim or minor claim, like the screen on your iPhone broke, there really shouldn't be a need for human interaction if everything is just working and all the processes are set up correctly. You should be able to file a claim, you verify your purchase, you have your receipt, all these sort of things, and we will basically just pay out within a couple of minutes. That would be a straight-through process that we're trying to achieve. Also, what we like to see is a 70% self-service level on all contacts. We're nowhere near that number yet, and there's a couple of good reasons for that, but we are getting there. So we really like to extend our self-service universe to our customers and make them use it way more than they are at the moment. So this is just a highlight of where we want to be, basically routing customers optimal and providing an excellent customer experience across channels. We've heard it so far today a couple of times that this seamless integration between the channels is, if it's not really important right now, it's definitely going to be even more important in a couple of years. We have all the traditional channels, like we do phone, we do chat, voice, social media, SMS, all these sort of things. What we don't do at the moment, we don't integrate those channels at all. It's very divided at the moment. And then we have all our digital channels as well, our web pages, the My Pages universe when you log in. And so basically our channels is not supposed to be seen as isolated channels. We need to optimize the customer experience and basically collaborate across the channels. So this is the interesting part, at least I think, is one of them. So some of the things, I'm not going to go through all the items that's going to hold us back, because I only have like 20 minutes. So some of the things that's holding us back is a very, very, very broad system landscape. It's insanely complex, and it's quite a task to integrate between the various systems. It's a huge challenge at Tryg. I'm sure it's probably also present a challenge to some of you out there. What we've learned is that there's a gap between the operational side of business, the speed they want to move with, and then the actual speed that the IT part of the business is actually able to deliver. And that is one of the things, at least, that's making it quite difficult for us to accelerate in the speed that's requested, not only from our business, but also from our customers as well. There's not really, at the moment, a clear structure of who's doing what and when they're doing it. The result of that is basically several people ending up doing the same things or doing the same task over and over again. It's basically wasting time. We tend to see, I'm going to say quite a lot of that, and I don't want to exaggerate, but this is also something that is really, at the moment at least, holding us back from achieving the goals that I told you about earlier. Then the ownership is split between departments. We've also heard earlier today that this way of thinking in silos need to go, and I couldn't agree more. and at Tryg, at least, also due to the past, we're very good at thinking in silos. So what the consumer branch is doing, that's not necessarily what the commercial branch is doing, although it's the same customers, basically. Then this is a pet peeve of mine. Actually, I've worked with contact center for the last 12 years, so I'm going to say there's a lack of IT focus, and I've put down it's a contact center story for ages, because contact centers always seem to be sort of like an afterthought. You have your marketing, you do your online, you do your search optimization, but rarely is there put any effort into what actually happens if something goes wrong in all the other channels. Where will the customer end up? The customer will end up in the contact center. Most often, the contact center won't know anything about the customer journey. So now you have a frustrated customer on the phone, and you then need to ask them all those questions that make them even more frustrated. It's just a bad customer experience. So the reason why I put lack of IT focus is because, to me at least, I think the IT department really needs to own up and really needs to allocate resources. Otherwise, this is going to be a longer journey and a more complicated journey than it needs to be. I at least think that the IT department needs to be very much involved in these processes, especially the change process, because they hold the key to a lot of the successes that is actually going to be accomplished by these sort of things. And then I want to show you something similar like this. I'm sure you've seen workflows. Some are unstructured, some are undocumented, some has last been updated in 2003, and God knows what's happened since. This also makes it extremely hard to actually identify what is the customer journey. Where are the customers coming from? Where are they ending up? How are we treating them along the way? What data points are we capturing? Because if we don't know what data to capture, or when we're capturing data, it's going to be, I would say, impossible to actually show it to the agent in the end, who actually needs that data. And this is also one of the issues that we have at the moment at Tryg. We have so much data, it's unbelievable, but we can't seem to structure it in a nice way and actually present it to the agents who needs it the most. So this is something that we're working on improving in the future. So this is also what we really like to see, and this is where eGain plays a huge part, at least for Tryg. So if we start with the digital platform that I know a lot of you have, or basically everyone has. So it's basically the web page. You have your FAQs or your guided FAQs, you have your chatbot, the proactive chat, you have your phone, social media, email. Everything needs to be tied together, and that's what we're trying to do at Tryg. We're leveraging the eGain platform. It's not going to be a secret. So far, my colleagues in Norway is actually doing quite a lot of work with this, trying to get the knowledge base up and running. We got the email integration. We're working with chat. So at the moment, we're trying to actually improve the customer offering whenever customers need to interact with Tryg. We've already seen results. We've taken the first steps on our journey. So I think if any one of us is going to be back next year, we would probably be able to present all the nice graphs with development in customer satisfaction. So, but this is what we're doing at the moment. Tryg is also kind of a funny company because it's the same company, it's the same products we're offering across the Nordics. Norway is way ahead on this journey. Denmark is sort of holding back. But it is coming. It is a joint venture to do this, but the countries are moving in different paces. At least to me, this is critical that we get a unified platform to leverage all the data that we do have in the company. And as I explained, we have quite a lot. So this is what we're trying to achieve. There was discussion about this customer interactive, or customer engagement hub. This could be our customer engagement hub. This is what we envision so far. So we have all the digital platforms on top. We have the various channels. Then we have basically all the infrastructure at Tryg supporting this and driving this. And this is the, to me at least, this is where I come back and say this is what we need to fix the fastest. Is basically the infrastructure. Because if that isn't in place, we're going to have so much trouble actually displaying all the customer data and capturing what it is they're actually trying to achieve. Also, if we're building the infrastructure to support this, we'll also be able to add value in the process to the agent. I think you've all heard about next best action. So that's also something we really want to do. So if you have a customer on phone or on email, we should be able to display to the agents what do we anticipate that this customer needs next. What would be best for this customer? If it's a sales opportunity, we should take it right then and there when we have the customer. We already have the data, so we know how to pitch it. And in order to help us with that, eGain, of course, is helping us developing these tools, and we're looking extensively into how we can actually improve the infrastructure at Tryg to leverage this. We saw a very basic Ivr Flow Chart where the customer calls in, he gets to the IVR, and then he gets connected to an agent. That would be true 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago. Nowadays, a customer contact could look like this. This is just an example. They can choose basically any channel they want. If we don't offer them all the channels, they might think, well, I'd choose another vendor or another service provider who can offer that. But it could start as a chatbot. Do we need to escalate to a manual chat? Yes, no. We can insist in the buying process, the buying phase, and ultimately it either goes through to an agent or it goes through to a sale. We saw that the eGain chat is more than capable of leveraging actually the sales, and also the Apple Business Chat is coming in. So this is some of the things that we're working on right now. So the results that we're getting. I know some of the business cases is actually being worked on as we speak. We're not quite there yet. But some of the things that we'd like to achieve with all these things is basically there is an opportunity to reduce training time. If we have a well-documented knowledge base, it's going to be so much easier to train the agents. We're going to spend less time following up. We would utilize basically agent self-training, and it would be quite easy for the supervisors to actually follow up and make sure that the quality is there before they interact with agents on the phone. And if you ever run a contact center, you would know that having agents out for training is quite expensive, especially if you have 80 customers waiting in queue. It's a tough choice to make. The contact handling time, I think it is absolutely critical for any contact center to be able to provide the customer with the right information as fast as possible. There are numerous studies out there that shows whenever customers get fast and easy service and it's the right answer they receive the first time, they tend to be way more happy or way more satisfied with the customer service that they've been provided. So this would be an opportunity for us to reduce the handling time. The knowledge is readily accessible, and the agent would be able to offer that based on the channel that the customer is interacting with. We expect an improvement in first contact resolution. This is also quite a heavy driver of dissatisfied customers. If they don't get the right answer the first time, or even worse, if they experience different answers in different channels, then you have a problem. Because then you lose trust in your customers, which is not a good thing. And then we want to enable an easier way of self-service. Basically, it's contact avoidance. We don't think that we should necessarily talk to all of our customers. If a customer is calling regarding opening hours or prices of products, these sort of things, they should be able to find that information elsewhere more easily instead of having to call. What we do want, however, we do want to talk to those customers who's having a really complicated matter, or if God forbid, they've had a really serious accident and now they actually need their insurance. Those customers we really want to talk to. We want to give them the best possible customer experience that anyone could ever give them, basically, because insurance is kind of like toilet paper, right? So you don't think about it every day, but it sucks when you're needed. So that's sort of the way we think about these things, and whenever we can deflect those contacts, and we want to do that. And in the end, we basically want to make it faster for the customers, and we want to make it easier for the customers to get the right answers, as I described. So just to wrap this up, we've recently only started on this journey. I think we started probably, I'm going to say January, just to make a clean cut. So what we're implementing right now is we're implementing the eGain knowledge base. There has been a couple of discussions within Tryg, and someone told me, why do we need to use eGain knowledge, or why do we need to use a knowledge base? We can just use SharePoint. My answer to that would be, don't ever use SharePoint for sharing knowledge in a contact center. It is definitely not the way to go. I'm talking from experience. So there's been quite a lot of discussions at Tryg, like what are the tools to use? But now, thankfully, we've settled for the eGain knowledge base. So we're implementing the knowledge base, we're implementing the chat, and we're implementing the emails. So when I'm back here, or some of my colleagues are back here in a year, I'll give you the slides, and you will be able to see the results that we've gotten so far, at least if the business cases that we've sent forward will hold up, which we hope they do. So without further ado, thank you so much for listening.